Welcome back to Inherited Dawn, a One Piece podcast, where we are still trying to pick our jaws up off the floor after chapter 1159, The Name of the Erased King.
Franky, I don't even know where to begin. My notes have notes. I feel like I need a poneglyph to decipher my own handwriting at this point.
I have one place to begin. 3 words. Davy D. Xebec. That's it. That's the chapter. Rock's real name is Davy D. Xebec. If you've ever wanted to hear 2 people lose their minds over a single name for 40 minutes, you should probably plant a flag on our channel and subscribe, because this is what we do here. This one name changes the entire board.
It recontextualizes everything we thought we knew about the biggest monster of the old era. The narrative we've been fed for decades in-universe was that Rox was this chaotic evil, a pure force of destruction who wanted to be king of the world for power's sake.
Monster? Robin, I think we're about to find out he might have been the hero of this story. Let's get into it. The chapter opens on Hachinosu, and it is absolute chaos.
It is a complete frenzy. We see the Rox Pirates, this legendary crew of future emperors and titans, in a state of panic. Shakky has been kidnapped. Marlin, one of the guys standing guard, is dead. And nobody in the Rox Pirates knows who did it. It seems the attacker was so swift and stealthy that not even this crew of monsters could stop them.
Which says a lot about Shakky, too. We know she was the Empress of Amazon Lily. She's no damsel in distress. Whoever took her had to be top tier. But the chapter doesn't make us wait. It tells us immediately. It was Ochoku, Wang Ji. Of course it was. We know he's a weasel from the Blackbeard stuff, betraying his own captain to team up with the Marines and take over Hachinosu. But to see him betraying his own crew from the very beginning, that's cold.
It establishes a pattern of behavior that spans decades. For Ochoku, a pirate crew isn't a family or a unit. It's a vehicle for personal gain. He saw an opportunity, a massive reward for Shakky, and he took it without a moment's hesitation.
He just sold her out. No loyalty, no honor among thieves, nothing. Just cash. It makes his eventual downfall by the hands of Blackbeard feel like cosmic karma. You live by betrayal, you die by betrayal. And the news of her capture spreads like wildfire. It gets to Roger.
And Roger's reaction is exactly what you'd expect from the future Pirate King. He doesn't just get mad, he gets personal. He's not thinking strategically, he's not weighing the pros and cons. He's just pure, unfiltered rage. He roars that he's gonna kill Rox for letting this happen to her.
He doesn't even blame Ochoku, who we know did it. He doesn't blame the world government who bought her. He blames the captain. He blames Rox. That tells you everything you need to know about Roger's philosophy. The captain is responsible, period. It's the same energy Luffy has. If something happens to one of his crew, he takes it as a personal failure.
Which is fascinating, right? His anger isn't at the kidnappers or the world government, it's at Rox. He held the captain responsible for the safety of everyone under his flag. It speaks to a pirate code, a strange sort of respect. Roger saw Rox as his equal, and in his eyes, Rox failed a fundamental test of leadership.
That's the difference between them in a nutshell. For Roger, the crew is the treasure. For Rox, well, we thought we knew. We thought it was all about power, a collection of strong individuals bound by a common goal of world domination, but not by loyalty. But this chapter just turned that on its head.
Before we get to that, the chapter jumps back in time, 38 years ago. Garling Figarland is in God Valley, and the art here, he's drawn with this terrifying, serene confidence. He looks like a king surveying his property, not an invader.
And he's meeting his kids for the first time. 2 little babies, in a basket, like Moses, but way more tragic. Shanks and Shamrock, a twin. Shanks has a twin sister named Shamrock. What? That is insane. I need a second. A twin? Is this the person who met with the Gorosei? Are we dealing with a secret twin switcheroo plotline this whole time?
It's a possibility we can't ignore now. The name is so specific. Shamrock, the 3-leaf clover, often confused with the 4-leaf clover of good luck. There's so much symbolism to unpack there. And their mother's there. She's so happy to see him, asks him to come live with them on the island. You can see the love in her eyes. She genuinely believes he's come for them.
And his response is just pure evil. He doesn't even look at her. He's just staring off at the horizon. He says that's not possible because the island is about to disappear. He just drops that like he's talking about the weather. No emotion, no regret, just a statement of fact.
It gets worse. He says he's already put in an order for a wife he thinks is more fitting. He's literally shopping for a partner from a catalog of noble families. And then he mentions that the competition goes well, he'll get what he desires. He's talking about the hunt. He's talking about winning Shakky. He's planning to replace the mother of his children with a prize he wins from a human hunt.
The way he talks about people like their property, it's the ultimate expression of the celestial dragon mindset. And then he just stabs her, the mother of his children. He just runs her through without a second thought and tells the Marines to start the invasion. It's one of the most cold-blooded panels in the entire series.
This isn't just an attack. He calls it the native hunting competition. The celestial dragons are hunting human beings for sport. This confirms the worst rumors we've heard throughout the series. And this is the man who raised Shanks, or rather the man who was supposed to.
Raised is a strong word. This is the man who abandoned Shanks after murdering his mother in front of him. It makes you wonder how Shanks even got off that island. His entire backstory is drenched in a tragedy we never could have imagined. And who's standing right there in a Marine uniform, witnessing this horror? A rookie, Monkey D. Dragon. With his face clean, no tattoo yet, he looks so young, so full of a different kind of conviction than the one he has now.
The line is perfect. You shouldn't be thinking, just following orders. That is the entire ideology of the world government in one sentence. It's the lesson that created the Revolutionary Army. That one line is the poison that Dragon will spend the rest of his life creating an antidote for.
Exactly. You can see the gears turning in his head. You can see the first crack in his faith in the system. He's uncomfortable, but he figures, hey, as long as he's using tranquilizers, nothing too bad will happen. Oh, Dragon, you sweet summer child, you have no idea. You think you're there to pacify a native population, but you're actually security for a blood sport.
This is his inciting incident. This is his O'Hara years before O'Hara. This is the moment Dragon realizes the justice he signed up for is a complete and utter lie. The institution he dedicated his life to is fundamentally evil.
While all this is going on, the slaves who are being brought to the island for the competition manage to get a message out. It seems some of the slaves themselves get word to the outside world.
And who picks up the story? A young Morgans, in a trench coat, looking like a classic noir reporter. He's always been there for the truth, even when it was dangerous. This shows his credibility isn't just a recent thing. He's been a thorn in the world government's side for almost 30 years.
Big news Morgans starting as he meant to go on. He publishes the story and the news reaches Hachinosu. They find out what the competition is and that Shakky is going to be the grand prize.
The crew is furious. We see a young Shakky, Whitebeard, Captain John. All of them are enraged. But some, like a young Big Mom, are already looking at the other prizes. She sees a list of devil fruits available to the winners and immediately offers to give one of the devil fruits to Kaido if they get it.
Classic Linlin, always playing her own angle. Her crewmate is in mortal danger and she's already wheeling and dealing. She's not thinking about rescuing Shakky, she's thinking about strengthening her future army. She's already planning to get some for her own kids, of course. Kaido's just a pawn to her, even back then. This is the moment she put him in her debt, the debt he complains about decades later.
Struzan, ever the voice of reason and self-preservation, wonders if it's a trap. He points out that this is an island full of celestial dragons, holy knights, and admirals. Attacking it is suicide.
And Rox just bellows. He slams his fist down and basically says anyone who isn't committed is off the crew. Anyone who is scared can leave now, but everyone is going to God Valley to get her back. This is the moment. It's the first time we see him acting not as a tyrant, but as a captain. He's putting the crew first. The Rox pirates are officially on the move.
And the news reaches Roger, too. He finds out where she is, and now he's determined to get to her before Rox does. It's not just about saving her anymore. It's about proving his way is better. It's a race born out of rivalry and a twisted sense of responsibility.
And of course, who hears about Roger making a move? Garp. The man is basically a Roger-seeking missile. The stage is officially set. Everyone who matters is now pointing like a compass needle directly at God Valley.
But there's a roadblock. As the Rox pirates' ship, the Saber of Xebec, is heading out, they're intercepted by another ship, and on it is someone named Harold, a giant of a man.
I have no idea who this guy is. He's never been mentioned before, but Rox knows him, calls him an old friend, and Harold seems to be working for the world government, an order he doesn't seem happy about. He looks pained. He tells Rox to turn back, that this is a fight he can't win.
Harold asks to talk to him in private, just the two of them, and this is where the chapter just blows the doors off the series. In this quiet, desperate moment, Rox tells Harold his most guarded secret.
His real name. It's not just Xebec. It's Davy D. Xebec.
My mind immediately went to the Davy back fight. It wasn't just some silly game Foxy played on Long Ring Longland. It's real. It has a history. Franky, that arc, which I feel like was so easily dismissed as filler, turns out to have been some of the most important foreshadowing in the entire story.
You're telling me Foxy the Silver Fox was using an ancient legendary D-clan ritual to try and steal Chopper? That is the craziest thing I have ever heard. A core piece of Void Century lore was hidden inside a gag arc with an afro and a slow beam? This is unbelievable.
Exactly. And Rox explains it. He says the world government has been trying to cover up the existence of the Davy clan, descendants of a legendary pirate, a king of games and wagers named Davy D. Jones. This is Void Century level stuff. An entire clan, an entire branch of the D, erased from history, wiped from the books so thoroughly that only a fool's game on a long island remains as a faint echo of their existence.
And Rox is one of them. He says he only survived because his family went into hiding, living in the underworld, their name and history is secret. And then he drops the other bomb, the one that changes everything.
The real reason he's going to God Valley, it's not for Shakky, though he is going to get her back. It's not for world domination. 2 years ago, he had a son.
A son. He sent his wife and his infant son to God Valley for safekeeping. He says it's their home, the ancestral home of the Davy clan. It wasn't just a random island, it was a sanctuary.
It was supposed to be a safe haven. He sent his family there thinking the world government had forgotten it, that it was a place so remote they'd be safe from his enemies, and the world government, in their infinite arrogance, turned his home, his sanctuary, into their personal playground for a human hunt. It wasn't a trap to lure him out. The world nobles were just so arrogant they didn't care whose land they were on. As Rox says, that was their fatal mistake.
This turns his character completely inside out. He wasn't a conqueror seeking power. He was a king trying to protect his kingdom. He was a father and a husband trying to protect his family. This isn't an invasion for him. It's a rescue mission. He tells Harold he doesn't care what happens to him as long as they're okay. He's desperate.
It's the ultimate violation. Imagine sending your family to the one place you believe is sacred and safe, only to find out your mortal enemies are using it for a blood sport and your family is now in the crosshairs. This changes everything about him.
He even asks Harold for help. The great Rox D. Xebec, the man who terrified the world, is begging an old friend, a Marine, for help because he doesn't think he's going to survive this. He knows he's charging into the mouth of hell. This is him at his most vulnerable, stripped of all his menace and bluster.
And Harold refuses. They have a brief clash, but it seems like Harold holds back. Rox uses the opening to escape and continue on his way to God Valley, leaving his old friend behind.
Superhumanizing. That's the only word for it. We've spent years hearing about this faceless demon, this symbol of ultimate evil, and in one chapter he becomes the most sympathetic person in the story. His home is being destroyed, her crewmate was sold out, and her family is in danger. Of course he went on a rampage. Who wouldn't?
And back on God Valley, the horror is just getting started. The hunt is beginning. Dragon is on the ground, and it seems he's patrolling when he finds Shanks and Shamrock's mother. She's dying, bleeding out from Garling's attack.
And with her last breath, she begs him not to let Garling take her children. She knows what he is. She begs Dragon to save them, warning him that their father is a monster. A D saving the children of a celestial dragon from their own father. The irony is staggering.
Elsewhere, we see another familiar face amongst the terrified slaves being herded into the groundings. A young Teach. He's a child, maybe 5 or 6, crying. He was captured along with his mother.
My jaw is still on the floor from this. Blackbeard was a slave at God Valley. That is a revelation. It reframes everything about him. His hunger, his desperation, his belief that dreams never die. It comes from a place of having absolutely nothing. His mother is there comforting him, urging him to live no matter what happens.
It explains so much about his ambition and his ruthlessness. He came from the absolute bottom, a victim of the world noble's greatest cruelty. It doesn't excuse his actions, but it provides a context that is deeply tragic. He saw the gods of the world at their very worst when he was a child.
And then the competition begins. A smarmy announcer, a celestial dragon, is on a massive stage, listing the prizes. The descriptions are just vile. They talk about Shakky as the top prize, and the world nobles in the crowd, including a young Saint Summers, who looks just as punchable as his son, are all talking about what they want to do to her. Then Garling makes a grand declaration from his throne. He plans to take her as his new wife. The crowd cheers. It's disgusting.
And then they announce the rare targets. Different races have different point values. We see a young Kuma chained up, listed as a high-value target because he's a buccaneer. We knew he was there. We knew he was a slave. But seeing him as a terrified child about to be hunted is sickening.
But he's not the main event. The announcer saves the best for last. He makes a final grand declaration. For the first time in 800 years since the founding of the world government, they have managed to capture a member of the legendary, supposedly extinct Davy family.
And the spotlight hits one person. It's not Rox's wife. It's not his son. It's the crying little boy from earlier.
It's Teach. A young Marshal D. Teach is announced as the highest value target in the entire hunt because he, like Rox, is from the long-lost Davy clan.
So Rox isn't the only one, and he likely doesn't even know it. His rival for the future, the man who would inherit his will in a twisted way, comes from the exact same erased lineage. The implications of that are staggering. The WG didn't just stumble upon one, they found 2.
2 members of the Davy clan, the captain trying to save his family and the future emperor who was a slave, are on the same island at the same time. One is about to launch an attack from the outside, the other is trapped on the inside, and the world government is trying to exterminate them both. This is not just a battle, it's a genocide.
Okay, but think about what this means for the D initial itself. We always thought of it as one group, the enemy of the gods. But what if it's not a monolith? What if there are different clans within the D, each with their own history and purpose?
The Monkey Ds, the Gold Ds, the Portgas Ds, the Trafalgar Ds, and now the Davy Ds, each with their own history, their own purpose. And the Davy clan seems to have a history tied to games, pacts, and maybe even souls. The Davy backfight.
It was a pirate game where you could lose your crewmates, your most precious treasure. It was about stealing something irreplaceable from your opponent. What if the original Davy D. Jones played for keeps, for lives, for devil fruits, for a person's very fate?
It would explain Blackbeard's unique ability. If the Davy clan has some power, some innate trick to take things that shouldn't be taken, like a second devil fruit, it could all connect back to their ancestor, Davy D. Jones. He's not just a weirdo with a weird body, he's using a power unique to his bloodline.
And Rox wanted to be king of the world. Maybe he wasn't just trying to conquer it. Maybe he was trying to reclaim a throne that he believed belonged to the Davy clan. Maybe the original king of the world wasn't a celestial dragon, but Davy D. Jones himself, who lost his kingdom in some grand game against the ancestors of Emu.
And the world government buried it all.
They buried Davy D. Jones, they buried the Davy clan, and they tried to bury Rox D. Xebec at God Valley. This incident wasn't just Garp and Rogers stopping a rampaging pirate, it was the world government performing a historical execution and an ethnic cleansing at the same time.
One more thing. Garling said the island would disappear. He knew beforehand. This wasn't a battle that got out of hand and accidentally destroyed the island. Its destruction was planned from the start.
They wanted to wipe the whole place and everyone on it off the map, to erase the home of the Davy clan for good, kill the people, destroy the land, and salt the earth. This is heavier than I ever could have imagined. This whole flashback is just tragedy layered on top of tragedy.
It's the foundational wound of the modern era. Everything comes from this. Dragon's revolution, Roger's final journey, Shanks' entire existence, Blackbeard's trauma and ambition, Garp's title as a hero. It all starts here, in the blood and ashes of God Valley.
Oda's author comment this week was about One Piece Day being a fun family event. The absolute madman. He drops the most heart-wrenching, world-breaking chapter in years and then says, enjoy the family fun. You gotta love him.
It's a special kind of cruelty. Thematic, even.
It really is. Alright, before we get into what we think happens next, if this breakdown gave you even one, oh, so that's what it means moment, do us a favor and drop a comment letting us know what blew your mind the most. We read every single one.
Let's do predictions. What's in chapter 1160?
Okay, prediction 1 for me, Dragon is the one who gets Shanks and Shamrock out. He can't stand by and let this happen. He might not be able to stop the whole event, but he's going to honor that mother's dying wish and save her kids. He probably entrusts them to Roger's crew when they arrive, which is how Shanks ends up on the Oro Jackson.
That feels right. My first one is related to Rox. We're going to find out who his wife and son are, and I don't think his son is Blackbeard. I think Rox's son is someone we know, or more chillingly, someone who died on that island, and his death is what sends Rox into a rage that requires both Garp and Roger to stop.
Oh, that's dark. I like it. My second prediction, we're going to see the original brutal version of the Davy backfight. Rox is going to challenge Garling or the Celestial Dragons to it. He's going to use the ancient rules of his clan to win back his family. It won't be about throwing punches. It'll be a game of wits and wagers with the highest stakes imaginable.
That would be incredible. Okay, my second prediction is the reason God Valley disappears, because Emu uses the Mother Flame. We've seen what it can do to Lulusia. This was the first time it was ever used. The world government isn't just trying to win a battle. They're testing a superweapon and erasing their enemies and all evidence in a single stroke.
Bro, that's heavy, and it makes so much sense. One final one from me. We're going to see why Garp gets the title Hero of the Marines. It won't be for beating Rox. It'll be for protecting the Celestial Dragons, yes, but also for saving the slaves. I think Garp is going to defy orders to protect the innocent caught in the middle, and that act is what will cement his legend, even if the world government spins it differently.
My final prediction connects to that. The reason God Valley disappears is because they discover the truth about the hunt. They both arrive to fight Rox, but they'll see the Celestial Dragons hunting children, including Teach and Kuma, and they'll realize they're on the wrong side of the fight. The real enemy is the one they're supposed to be protecting. Their team-up won't be about stopping a pirate. It'll be about stopping a massacre.